I'll shout loud.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the first question we have for you today, and again, you'll get 90 seconds to respond. Dennis Walto in the back is our timekeeper, so keep an eye out for that. And yeah, he'll let you know when your time's up. Okay, first question. What do you see as the primary job duties of a county supervisor, and why are you the best person to fulfill these responsibilities?
The primary job is to do your job, to follow the law, and to take care of the people that have voted you in. And it's so important because we don't need to be where we aren't certifying our votes. And we need to follow the voices of the people. That is so important. And then to have oversight in your county of the $280 million budget, the over 800 employees that work for the county, and to treat them with dignity and respect, and to make things happen.
All right, thank you. Next question. How do you plan to address water scarcity and manage water resources effectively across Cochise County?
That is very important. Without water, none of us would be here. So water management, water conservation, dealing with the aquifers that are getting low because of the big agriculture. I think, Douglas has an AMA. I think Wilcox may want to look at that in the future, but having some regulations of usage. Otherwise, the people out there, the private property owners who you've seen have their wells have dried up, and we don't want them moving. We're talking about trying to grow Cochise County. We can't grow Cochise County as people's wells are drying up because they're going to leave. And big business, big agriculture that is here have said, well, because there's no regulations for their usage, that's why they're here. They would leave if regulations came in. So let's have some good regulations that are fair to everybody who's here. We need to be here. We need to drink water. Our animals, we still need to eat and have crops and things, but it needs to be reasonable and fair.
Thank you. Staying on that same topic, the next question. Working with the federal government, state government, and local utility providers, what do you envision as reliable energy and water resources for the future of Cochise County?
That is a good question. And we need that, right, Jason? So,
yes, we do.
Yes. So we need to see what our options are. What are good green sources, green resources, not depending on, just oil, solar. We're here in Arizona. We've got lots of sunshine. Let's take advantage of that. Let's take advantage of other possibilities to use for our resources and energy. It's so important that we need to look at what our options are. And also, plus with that is, we need to worry about our climate change. We know everything's getting hotter, like me right now. So maybe a little fan would be nice, but but it's so important because we need to be preserving our world for our future generations, for our children and our grandchildren.
What initiatives would you champion to promote economic growth and diversification, reducing dependency on a few industries within the county?
Well, we need people to be here. We need to encourage the young families to come here. As we know, we are a retirement community, but we also, if we're going to grow, we need the young people who will come here. They'll work at Fort Huachuca. They'll work in our industries here, in our companies, et cetera, here in Sierra Vista. Without people being here to encourage them to live here and provide that tax base, buying homes, buying our products, buying services, our county will shrink. And we need to continue to grow reasonably to balance against our resources. So that's really important. We don't want our small cities, drying up, quote, drying up. We need, we have the port of entry in Douglas. We see a growth there in Douglas. We see growth in Benson. I mean, for here in Sierra Vista, I started here as a private in 1985. Fry Boulevard didn't go past 7th Street. So we've seen some great growth, and we need to continue to see it in order for us to be prosperous here in Cochise County.
How do you intend to address the educational needs of students in Cochise County, particularly in rural or underserved communities?
Well, education is key for our future, to grow our future leaders, to grow our future teachers, people to make our economy strong, people to run for office. So education is so important, and if we don't have that, things will just lapse, and people will just depend on what they're told, whether it's true or not true. I've talked to Jackie Clay and I, she's retired sergeant major, and we've talked about the education here in Cochise County. We've got to support it. We've got to get funding in here to make sure that our children are educated and they can deal with the issues and requirements as they go through, high school and go to college, or if they don't, they go through an apprenticeship program or an internship program, but they've got to continue to learn and to make our county successful and make themselves successful. Education is key. I've got a bachelor's degree from the University of Washington, pre-law, MBA. I'm an Army War College fellow. And I continue to learn and study and just figure out what's going on in our county, and that's what we need. We need an educated population who's willing to learn and ask the tough questions to make things happen for our county. We just can't live in a cave.
Describe how you would collaborate with local businesses and community organizations to create educational programs that align with job market needs.
Well, I would sit down and talk to them. That's so important. What I do now, just as a citizen here, I am involved in many veteran organizations. I am on the board of trustees for the hospital. I am a Rotarian. You see me at so many events, and the key is just getting out there and talking to people and networking and finding out what one organization needs compared to another organization, and just making that connection. That is so important, because a lot of times we just, in the military, we did it, we just stove pipe and everyone just does their little piece, but no one talks across the table. We've got to do that. We have got to talk to each other and figure out, well, you have something that's important that you could help my organization, and then with the 3 or 4 different organizations, we can help people, we can make a difference. And that's, I know on the veteran side, I got the DAV commander here, we do that. We help the veterans. And then on the board of trustees side, we're helping the citizens who have healthcare issues, etc. So just getting out there and talking to the community and being part of the community is so important.
What specific strategies would you support to increase funding and resources for public schools in Cochise County?
Well, we definitely need to reach out to our state and our federal education, and get grants in, get money to help our schools excel. It's so important to make sure they have the tools and that teachers are paid a decent wage. My middle son, he was a teacher in the Watts district. He did that. He was a math teacher. He did that to help pay his loans back. He's now has his PhD in STEM. So just encouraging kids and teachers to continue in that field. I mean, we were losing. I attended the superintendent's roundtable, and the issue was teacher retention and money to help them stay in there to help teach our children and our grandchildren. So that's key too, is we got to be able to encourage people to go down that field, to stay in it, and to give them a livable wage where they like, hey, I want this to happen. I can retire from here and I can be successful. So
this is a bit of a long one. So it's about healthcare, and the future of healthcare of Cochise County relies on the relationships we form with state and federal leaders. How do you plan to build strong and collaborative relationships that will ensure Cochise County has a place and a voice and is respected throughout the state of Arizona and in Washington?
Okay. So the county has a health and social services directorate. Barbara Lang is the director, and I've already reached out to her and said, depending on what happens on November 5th, I plan on meeting with her and talking to her about her requirements and issues and making sure that directorate has money to help the people in the county with, their healthcare requirements. The big thing during COVID, when $1.9 million grant was turned down because somebody didn't want big government in the county business. But that grant would have helped us in educating and vaccines and this other requirements to help make us a healthier county. And so, as we know, we're an aging population. I know I look young for my age. That our health care is huge. And that's another reason I'm on the board of trustees for the hospital, is I care about what happens to us as a population and making sure we're taken care of. And we're a rural health area. And we've had many discussions on the board about requirements needed to help those out in the rural area who can't get to the hospital sometimes or can't get to a clinic. Veterans, we have a transportation program with the DAV, but you have to be service connected. So what about those that aren't? What about those that can't afford? I mean, the big things, a lot of them will just sit at home until it becomes critical and they have, they're ambulanced in. But by then, it's almost too late. So there we go.
90 seconds. All right. Next question. Name a policy that you have championed, whether in your current role or your work history, and tell us briefly how you approached this policy, built consensus for its adoption, and brought it to life.
Ooh, that's a good question. I've dealt with lots of policies through my life, through my career in the military. Let's see. One that I've actually brought from little baby stage. Wow, that's a hard one. I've dealt, like I said, I worked at the Pentagon. I had 3 assignments there. I've dealt with lots of policy there. I was actually the program manager for the Montgomery GI Bill. And the big thing was getting the other organizations in there to make sure they supported it and the requirements there. So even though I didn't bring that policy up from its baby stage, I did help expand it and to make sure that it was followed by the other organizations. It was a joint bill or a joint program, the Montgomery GI Bill. So working with other organizations besides the military, with the Navy and the Air Force, et cetera, getting stakeholders in, caring about what your issue is so key. And that's, as a county supervisor, making sure you're getting with the other supervisors and the other people that are invested in that issue and getting their buy-in and listening to the experts is key to success. And you can't just cut things off and say no, because of your own personal beliefs that you don't believe in something. You've got to look at what's best for the majority of the people and the people that you represent.
What measures will you take to ensure the county resources are used efficiently and effectively?
Well, I will make sure I don't waste taxpayer dollars, that I will do the due diligence and the research and the requirements needed for requests that have to go up higher, state and federal level, for grants that are coming, that could come into our county to support the people. That's key. You can't just say no on issues because of your personal beliefs. You have to say, this is not a good idea because of these reasons, or this is a good idea because it helps our people. And that's key. You know, we have to work hard to benefit the people that you represent, you know. And there's a lot of issues out there. There's a lot, like we talked about, health issues, home issues, you know, utilities. I mean, things like that. There's a lot of people who need, and we have some great organizations out there. I know I'm a little bit off on this one, but that help those folks. But we have to maintain that requirement to bring money in. We can't, I mean, there's a lot of nonprofits here. We're all trying to get money, but we have to get money from outside sources sometimes. And we have to say, hey, help us. So
You kind of touched on the next question.
okay.
How will you ensure that residents have access to essential healthcare, community services, and resources? And what strategies will you use to improve the overall quality of life in Cochise County?
Well, I just attended on Wednesday. What's the Tuesday? Okay. The community connect at the Salvation Army, which used to be at the Ethel Berger Center, and that's a great organization that brings all those different agencies together to help people in need. And it's so key because you know, we have homeless, we have those in need, and those who just sometimes day to day or week to week or month to month, they just can't survive. And so they reach out to these organizations. I know Chair Cow is there, and sometimes the Canyon Vista, but they're not a nonprofit, they're for private. But they're out there, and it's so key to help these folks just for a better life, and just, like I said, to live day to day. So my is to work with our directorates within the county with the different city organizations to help bring some money in as we can, which is legal, and to help the different organizations within the guidelines.
How would you collaborate with state and federal agencies to secure funding and resources for local healthcare initiatives?
Well, I would definitely reach out to the Health and Human Services and the state the state agencies for help down here in our county, especially like right now. I know we have a new vaccine coming out. People are still getting COVID, and we've got to keep our seniors, keep everybody in our county safe. We just can't go through another big COVID, issue that we did in 2020, 2021. We've got to make sure that people can get out there and get the health care that they need, and that they understand the process of signing up for the care and other requirements, depending on what they qualify for.
Okay. What role do you believe Cochise County should play in advocating for changes or improvements in federal border policies? And what are your views on the impact of border policies on the local economy, particularly in terms of trade and tourism?
Okay, the first question is that we need to work with the federal government and getting more money to help with border security and safety. That is key to our community. I mean, I know we're all concerned about what's going on with the load cars, and talking to the sheriff. We understand that there are people trying to come over for a better life, but there's a process, and we need money, federal money, to help with that process. We need federal money to go to the border patrol to help man the border, and to make it safer for us here in our community. So that is key. I'm about supporting our law enforcement agencies here to make sure we are a safe community. I mean, A lot of us have been here, many of you have been here many, many more years than I have. Even when I started in '85, it's private. But this is our home, and we want to be safe, and we want to make sure, though, people in unsafe places have an opportunity to try to come here through the process of immigration for a better life. What was the other part?
And what are your views on the impact of border policies on the local economy, particularly in terms of trade and tourism?
Oh, well, definitely. It's so important to have the ability for them to come over. I mean, they spend in taxes, I was reading an article, twice as much as the benefits that they get coming over here. So, we do get a benefit from undocumented immigrants coming here. But it is important that we have a infrastructure to help them too. And as far as work, visas, green cards, etc., that they keep within the process. We just can't, we don't have open borders, but we just can't have them just flooding over like what's happening. We've just got to maintain that communication with their countries to help make their areas a better place for them to live too. So,
what's your plan to strengthen the relationship between Cochise County and Fort Huachuca?
Okay, well, Fort Huachuca is a major economic driver here, so we want to keep it, of course, because I think Sierra Vista would dry up if Fort Huachuca disappeared. So it is really important, and like I said, Fort Huachuca is my military home, that we maintain it and do everything we can with the federal government to keep it here, and because it has jobs, it has requirements, etc. So and retirees are here, so that's so important too, because they bring money into the county and buy homes, etc. So yeah, without Fort Huachuca, I don't think we'd be here, or not as much. I mean, our footprint would be pretty small.
Okay, this is question 15.
Okay, whoo, do a little dance.
So now we have 15 questions. So what are your priorities for maintaining and improving transportation and infrastructure, and how will you secure funding for these projects?
Okay, well, I definitely think transportation is very important here, as I mentioned before, because people are out in a rural area. There's a lot of older folks, etc., who don't have cars. They can't get out to where they need to go. I mean, I've talked to veterans who are just like, hey, I'm looking for someone to help just come and visit and, bring some groceries or just, small stuff. If we can develop, a better transportation out in the county, that's something I want to look at and see if that's possible, depending on what happens November 5th. So I think that's key is connect the communities. I mean, Sierra Vista has free transportation here. I think that's a great project, a program. If we can do that, maybe not free, but maybe, just have a decent transportation hub for the rural areas. So it's so important. What's the second part?
Oh, wait.
So
the second part is, how will you secure funding for these projects?
Well, the state legislature is so important, and that's the key, is getting them on board to make sure that they support the people in their legislative district. Okay, so I will make sure I'm talking to them on, as required basis, that I reach out. I mean, bring grants in or approve grants. I mean, that's so key, is there is money out there. It's just, you got to get a good grant writer like my friend I know, and and get access to those grants and bring them in. I know some people don't like grants, or they don't want big government in, but it's so key. And there's requirements. Yes, there's strings attached, but there's it's all about the requirements of the grants. Reporting what you're spending, what you're using it. It's not difficult. but the benefits that grants can have for the people in the county, or who they're going towards, is huge. And that's something we need to keep looking at, is approving those grants and looking for grants that will help the people in the county.
All right, now we've reached the point where you get 2 whole minutes for a closing statement.
Okay. Woo! All right. So, but thank you for listening to me tonight. I know we got a national debate. We're getting close, so I'm going to talk really fast. But you've heard I'm deeply committed to our county and to doing my job here, that I will work hard for all the people in this county. I'll advocate for water conservation, strong infrastructure, safety of our people and our residents, a healthy work environment, treating people with dignity and respect. That's not hard. It's a golden rule. Treat people like you want to be treated. I'll support the mission of Fort Huachuca. I will help all the people. I'm, as most people know, I'm a helper. I like to help people. It's in my blood, So it's so important to treat people like they are important and they want to be heard. When I worked for Congresswoman Kirkpatrick from 2019 to 2022, end of 2022, as their Director of Constituent Services and Director of Cochise County Outreach, I helped them get hundreds of thousands of dollars back from federal agencies through, their IRS, their taxes, their VA disability, etc. And then someone just had complaints, but I was able to just listen to them, go reach out to somebody, and sometimes I wasn't able to resolve it, but they were just happy that someone was there to listen. And that's my promise to you all, is I will be there to listen to you and to help whatever your issue is. And if I can't do it, I'll pawn you off to somebody else. No, but but I'll reach out to someone who can. So I'm invested in our community. Like I said, I have 32 years of military service, 26 active, 3 years of federal government. I'm involved in veteran organizations. I'm on the board of trustees. I'm with the Rotary, so I'm involved. You see me everywhere. You're like, oh my God, there she is again. But it's so important because some people don't like to show up at things. And I'm like, yeah, I need to be there. I need to hear what your concerns and issues are. I will be there. I'll give you my personal phone number. You can call me, except after 9. I don't answer the phone. So I am your best choice as Cochise County Supervisor, District 1. Thank you for your time. Back to you, Melany.
Thank you, Theresa. We appreciate you being here this evening, and to our audience as well. Thank you all for coming out. I know it was kind of short and sweet, but it would have been about twice as long if we had 2 candidates. But 15 questions, I think that we covered a nice gamut, and but we're looking forward to hearing more. We do have 2 more debates coming up, one for District 2 and one for District 3. So District 2 will be on September 17th at Border Taco in Douglas, Arizona. And District 3 will be at the Benson City Council Chambers on September 18th at 5:30 p.m. And so we're excited about that and to hear from all of our candidates. So again, thank you all so much. Thank you to the Herald Review for offering up this space last minute and getting it ready for us. We appreciate it. And thank you to Jason Bowling, CEO of SSVEC, for co-moderating with me, and Dennis Walto from Chiricahua Community Health Centers, and he's dinging me back there. So I'm going on too long. Thank you, Dennis, and thank you everyone again. Have a great evening.